Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. This particular video won't be a long one, but I think it's an important one, because when people like this are caught and jailed, I always think it's important that we publish the fact, we show their faces, we make it well known who this person is, what this person is, and the terrible things that they have done. There must be no hiding place for insects like this. And what we have is a former Labour government MP. He's just been jailed for possession of very terrible images. You know the sort. You know from the headline on this this piece, from the thumbnail. You know exactly what he is, what he's been caught with. But he has only been given 28 months. He'll serve 14, less whatever he's done on remand. He could be out in about a year's time. This man is obviously a danger to children, and yet he's only going to do maybe a year in prison. Nowhere near long enough. But we'll take a look at him, we'll show you his face, we'll explain who he is, and we'll say what he's done. And then we'll just have a general level of derision and castigation. And then we'll move on to the next video. I'll do another video lined up. But I just want to get this one out. I just want you to all know who he is. This piece of degenerate filth. Here goes. So, former Labour government MP jailed for just 28 months for possessing CP. Now, I'm going to explain at this point that this particular outlet, Breitbart, they're morons, because that is not a picture of Paul Clark. When you look at the thumbnail on this video, you'll see the actual picture of Paul Clark. That, he's actually even wearing a Plaid Cymru rosette. For some reason, they've put the wrong man up. I hope that this fellow, I don't know who he is, I'm wondering if he's Paul Clark as well, a different Paul Clark. Because that is not the Paul Clark that was sent to jail. So Breitbart have made a bit of a mistake there. So for this guy, I think he needs to sue Breitbart to clear his name. This guy is innocent. Please let me stress entirely how innocent that man is. Refer back to the thumbnail, you'll see the real Paul Clark. Anyway, we'll get into this piece. A former MP who previously served in a Labour Party government has been jailed after being found guilty with nearly 1,500 indecent images of very young people. Paul Clark, 66, the former Labour Party MP for Gillingham in Kent from 1997 to 2010, will be jailed for just 28 months after being found in possession of 1,500 images of CP. He will also be put on the SO list, the offenders list, but just for a decade, rather than what it should be, which is the rest of his miserable life. Clark had formerly served as a junior minister within Tony Blair's government, which automatically makes him party to being a war criminal, given what Blair did under his rule, as well as acting as a private secretary for a variety of high-ranking figures in the party, including former Deputy Prime Minister John Prescott and Education Secretary Ed Balls. No, I'm not assigning that they are in any way connected with this man, other than through a professional means. I'm not, certainly not. Much as I don't like John Prescott, you couldn't, you don't associate that with him. I'm not saying that at all. I'm making that clear. This is this guy and his actions alone. He just happened to be with these people. According to a report by LBC, Clark pled guilty to both making and distributing these images back in December, with police having found him in possession of 298 Category A videos and stills. 400, and they're the worst kind. 415 Category B and 733 Category C, after a raid on his home, totaling just under 1,500 indecent images. This man is going to go to jail, and I hope that the inmates in whatever jail he goes to give him a really warm welcome. The kind of welcome they reserve for the most special guests at His Majesty's convenience. You know exactly what I'm saying. I can't say it out loud because otherwise it's an incitement and I will be whipped off YouTube quick as you like. So guys, whatever prison he goes to, give him make him feel really welcome. Really welcome him. He says, I kept telling myself to stop, the former parliamentarian reportedly told police during the raid, also informing officers that he knew why they were there. Yes, of course he knows. None of the offences occurred at a time when Clark was serving as an MP, the Labour Party veteran's lawyer claimed, with prosecutors saying that the vast majority of images were downloaded during periods of COVID lockdown. Man, if you just need to knock one out, just go to Pornhub or something, you know what I mean? Just sit there, look at some nice young, proper, grown-up ladies. Or men, don't know, whatever floats your boat. But adults, for God's sake, nobody cares. Anyway, sentencing Clark, the preceding judge described the politician's fall from grace as tragic, adding that jail was inevitable due to the seriousness of the charges put against him. Prosecutor Catherine Atwell said examination of the electronic devices revealed offences relating to indecent images of very young people on 5 devices. This included imagery as young as 3 years of age and a high number of moving images. The electronic devices also revealed chat logs in which Clark discussed his desires, distributed indecent images for others for their gratification, and used social media to identify and talk to people under 18 years of age. This man is a creep. He is degenerate. He is human filth. And he will continue to represent a clear and present danger to children even after his release. This is what drives him. This is his desire. You can tell that from his actions. He needs to have things removed so that he can never ever actually do physical harm, but he also needs to spend 30 years, not 1 year, in prison. It is disgusting. He is disgusting. And so it's now a case that we know what he is, we know where, what he does, and it's now out and in public. Anyway, our organised child abuse group was set up in April 2020 to prosecute child, these kind of people, this filth. He said, we work closely with law enforcement agencies to build strong cases against offenders using the internet and social media to commit these offences, and are determined to help stop the devastating impact of these crimes on victims and bring offenders to justice. Well, it's hardly justice if he's only getting a year. He needs, as I say, a lot longer. They need to not only punish the people who do this, they need to send the message out to others who are doing it or thinking of doing it, that they're not going to be getting a year in prison. They're going to get 30 years in prison. They're not going on an offenders register for a decade. They're going on for the rest of their lives. They need to get this out. They need to make this crime so undoable. I mean, obviously it's always going to happen, but you've got to make it such a way that whoever's doing it knows the seriousness of it, the absolute seriousness of the punishment they're going to get. We've got to make these people afraid to do it. But when you're giving them, a thing that they can do this, and they're only going to do a year in jail, it's not much of a fear, is it? Until we do, it will continue. It will continue at this level, and these people are absolute, dross. Anyway, I shall come up and finish off, and I will just reiterate again that this guy, for heaven's sake, this guy is innocent. I don't know who he is, but that is not Paul Clark. So, let's get absolutely clear on here. This is an innocent man. I'll see if I can find out who that is. There's got to be a way of finding out who that is. Anyway, I shall round off there. I shall come up and we'll finish the video. And I've not done well. I haven't got angry yet. Here goes. Maybe. That this thing goes on at all doesn't actually surprise me. But this claim that it went through on COVID also doesn't surprise me. I think a lot of people were sitting at home, and I think an awful lot of things happened during COVID that will have damaged children in particular. I suspect that there is a lot of incidents, and I'll be very careful how I put this. There'll be a lot of incidents involving children that occurred during COVID because nobody was safeguarding them. They weren't being checked at school, for example. Social workers weren't going in and out and checking on vulnerable people as often as they could or should have done. I have a feeling that there were children whose lives were ended, during COVID. I have a feeling that there was people doing things to children that would never ever have come out because of COVID. And this lockdown has damaged so many children in so many different ways. Now, this isn't a COVID video. I'm just saying that his excuse for doing this during COVID, I think that there is a spark of truth to it. And I think that a lot of things happened during that period, and a lot of it will never ever come out. And I think that is ultimately very sad. But this guy going off to prison, he'll do his year, and I hope that the other prisoners, wherever he goes, like I say, give him a very warm welcome, and then maybe he'll learn to sit there and reflect on his actions, deeply reflect. Anyway, it's a disturbing topic, but it's one I felt needed to be said because we need to expose these people. And so, that's who it is. But please God, it's not that guy in the photograph. It's the guy in the thumbnail. Anyway, I shall round off there. Thank you very much for watching. If you like what you see in here on the channel, please hit that subscribe button, ring that bell, leave a like, leave a comment, please share the video. Definitely leave a like. And until next time, stay safe, stay well, protect your children, and also keep an eye out for other people's children, because we all need to make a stand. And goodbye.